What's up, everybody? I'm going to show you how to play some Jace, alright?
Check my green toys, check my green toys, check my green toys, check my green toys. My name's Jace, my name's Jace. That shit's paid, that shit's paid. Transform February, Mercury, OP, Hammer. Terminal head, nigga, cross like I'm John Hacker. What the fuck am I use American accent? I'm Australian, fuck your shit. Trip with a Barbie, shut the fuck up, girl. Bud Light, yeah, I'm for this shit. Fuck you, Fizz, get smacked in the face. Motherfucker, you ain't getting away. Boom! Motherfucker, get away from me. Oh shit, get duped, get duped, get duped. Oh shit, I'ma die, you get tased. Take your pellet, rolling out, get duped. Fresh, check my face.
Welcome everybody to episode 13 of Kill Stolen. I am Tempest Fugit. Now, by definition, to steal a kill, you have to have somebody to steal it off. And fortunately, today I have four other lovely people joining me. As always, it's my trusty co-host Cryptic. How are you, man?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm excited for this one. This is gonna be sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the man who needs no introduction whatsoever, but I'll give him one anyway. It is Pastrytime.
Hello, how are you?
And at the moment, we have the lovely Lamill joining us. Definitely a big figure in the Australian community at the moment. How are you, Lamill?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
Good. No problem.
As always, we have a newcomer. He is Fantasy. How are you, man?
I'm alright. How about you?
Yeah, awesome. So, this is our first episode using webcams. We'll be uploading this onto YouTube, but let's get straight into it and discuss this week's patch notes.
Alright, so I guess jumping right in, one of the major ones we had was a change to brand. Specifically its ultimate, changing the missile speed up a little bit, and also taking away the increase in the missile speed on blaze targets and changing that with a prioritization to enemy champions. So, I mean, we haven't seen actually a lot of brand lately in terms of the competitive scene. Not a whole lot. There are a few people who play him here and there, but with this change, I think it's specifically his ultimate, which was already really strong. It's just going to make it that much better, and whether we'll see him in pro play, I hope so, because I think he has potential. But
yeah, I think with Brand, he's definitely underused in competitive play because he's one of those characters where you need a little bit of luck to really use him effectively. Like his ultimate, it could just bounce wherever the fuck it wants. So you can get really lucky sometimes, or you can get really unlucky sometimes. What do you guys think? Starting with
well, I saw a few high-level players that plays Brand. They just find that the ulti was very unreliable. It just keeps, like, in a jungle fight, it's just gonna hit a jungle creep and you're gonna lose all your damage.
Yeah,
this might help you a lot.
That's a massive valid point. Like if you can get a team fight in the river where there's nothing that it can bounce off other than other enemy players, then you're definitely in good stead. But you make a really good point.
It can help you sometimes. I had a friend that killed someone using Baron when he was playing Baron. That was pretty magical.
Wow.
Like if Baron wasn't there, like he wouldn't have got the kill. He was also playing Annie in that lane, and he managed to kill Annie every single time she used Tibbers, just by using his ultimate. It was hilarious.
I got owned as Heimdinger. I was right between my two towers thinking, I'm the best, I'm sticking to my towers, and boom, I just got absolutely raped. It wasn't fun.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of these style of changes now where Riot's doing a lot of... First of all, they're going through a lot of older champions who used to be played and trying to make them more viable, which is great because the larger portion of the roster that is getting used in competitive play is good. But they're just doing like small quality of life changes. Like Brand doesn't need a whole lot. Like we'll look at some other changes in this patch where you can see they've done a little bit more to try and normalize his champions and make them more competitive. But Brand is like, he's already a good champion. He just needs his ult to be a little bit less random, and he'll be fine again. So we'll probably see him pop up, but it completely depends on team makeup at that point because he's one of the easiest mids in the world to gank.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Kind of what they did to Fiddlesticks a couple patches ago. That you cannot buff him or nerf him because it's just going to break him. But they gave him just a slight tweak, giving him 50% extra damage on his crows on minions. So I completely agree. We're going to see a lot of these tiny little changes to older champions to get them just right.
And Fiddle's good again after that change. Like, he's really good, so... Good to see Fiddle being played again. Because before he was garbage. He just jungled too slowly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's good now.
So on to
things.
the next one, Cryptic. What do we have, man? I've got the patch notes up now.
Well, I think probably one of the better changes of the patch, one of my favorite characters, Cho'Gath, got a little bit of a buff this time around. Magic per level going up, as well as his attack range actually got nerfed by 5 points, not bad. But you'll see where that comes into play later on. His Rupture cast time has been normalized a little bit, down to about half a second as opposed to just over half a second. The delay on that Rupture has been normalized, a little bit more consistent now. His Feral Scream, the cast time, again, going down a little bit to half a second. One thing that I really liked that they changed was his Vorpal spikes. Actually, the width of the spikes increasing based on Cho'Gath's size. So the bigger you're getting off your stacks, the wider the range of your Vorpal spikes. Much easier to push lanes just down. And his Feast now giving him an additional 50 attack range for each Feast stack. And also the cast time going down or going up a little bit with that, just by a hair of a second. And also the range being increased by about 50. So that's the part actually I like the most, is the increased attack range, just because it comes up to a point where a lot of people are playing like these on-hit Cho'Gaths. It's very standard, like a Wit's End kind of, and maxing like the Vorpal spike. So with this increased attack range, you're seeing a lot of people pick up kills like that you would never ever see.
Yeah, Cho, I'm really loving him in the jungle at the moment. Like, ever since I saw St. Vicious doing it, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon like everybody else does. But Cho got a really freaking massive nerf to him, and it wasn't exactly a nerf to his skills. It was just showing the radius of his Rupture. And that in itself was just massive in what it meant, because people were just walking in and out of it so easily now compared to back to the way it was, where you had to judge where the Rupture was, and it hit more often than not, rather than it missing more often now. So, anyone got any input onto that at all?
Yeah, I mean, Cho's great.
Yeah. Is 50
That's great.
Is 50 attack range per stack, or is it total stacks?
Per stack.
It's per stack.
Per stack.
Based on the rank as well. Or maybe it's only up to, I'm not sure actually.
I think
we have to see.
Based on Feast rank and amount of stacks.
But it might be only up to 50, so like 50 max. But we'll have to wait until it actually gets released, I guess. But still
this
good.
patch is out, by the way,
okay.
So yeah, I don't know about the numbers.
I will start patch.
I really like the Vorpal spike changes. Blast hitting so much more better with Wit's End.
Yeah, Cho'Gath can really bully out that top lane. Like, he's really effective against Yorick with those Vorpal spikes. He just gets all that health back, and he can push the lane right into the tower against Yorick, which is usually what Yorick's doing against you. He's definitely one of those natural lane pushers. And yeah, you're right. We do have this patch out at the moment. It's just Diana didn't get dropped in this patch, and we'll be talking about Zyra and Diana after we get done with these patch notes. But does anyone else want to add anything on the Cho'Gath?
Pretty much what I said about Brand applies here as well. Like, just little changes. Like, Vorpal Spikes is now better late game, where before it was just a horrible move. And, like, no one builds Cho AP anymore. And even if you wanted to, like, having your skills actually hit and just having all skill shots that consistently get cast and get used at the same time is really useful. Like, imagine if Lux Light Binding randomly had a delay on it. Like, no one's going to play their champion. It's going to be horrible. Because you spent all this time learning a skill shot, and then it just doesn't work the way it's intended to. So, I mean, again, just small changes to try and make Cho a little bit more viable. Because, again, his skill set's good. He just needs small changes to make him good again. And his kit now seems a lot tighter, and it was always a good kit. It just now operates better overall. And I think we're going to see a lot more Cho, if not in top again, then at least in the jungle. Which is good. I do love Cho'Gath, so
yeah, we saw a shit ton of him in the jungles after St. Vicious did his thing, which is which is normal. Anyway, Cryptic, what do we have next, man?
Oops. Close it. I guess the next one would be to Evelyn. They changed a little bit. Her passive now re-stealthing after 6 seconds as opposed to 8 seconds. And when dealing periodic damage to Evelyn, for example, of Ignite, it will no longer prevent her from re-stealthing. And they've also changed her ultimate a bit, reducing the cooldown by about 30 seconds at rank 1 and about 10 seconds at max rank.
That's kind of a big buff, man. Like the 30 seconds at rank 1, that's huge. That's an entire team fight, just about. I like the change to the passive. Like Evelyn, the way that they've remade her now is that she's that stealth character zipping around the map, you know, getting into people's faces before they even know it. And the quicker that she can return to her stealth mode, the better. And I mean, the Ignite, it just should have been there to begin with, but it's good that they've gotten around to it now. I don't think reducing it this much is going to break her. Like, she's not going to get away a shit ton with, but she's going to be able to get away and get back into stealth a little bit more, I guess, more often and more safely. Has anyone played Evelyn a lot since she's been dropped? Like, I've only played her once.
Yeah, I have actually.
I haven't touched her once.
I like this changes a lot. From someone who's actually played a ton of it when she came out. The 8 seconds is too long, like way too long. So that was a good change. And other than that, it's just like minor reworks to try to make her a bit better. Her ultimate's actually awesome, and it's really fun to use. So, and it doesn't seem to break it by taking a few seconds off it in terms of cooldown. So, giving Evelyn players the ability to use her ult more often, which is actually probably her best ganking tool as well. It's a ranged AoE slow, so it's pretty good in terms of
rank 3, it does 25% of the target's maximum health, but that's pretty big.
It's good times.
That's really almost a Deathfire grass right there. I mean, could you imagine?
Gave a DFG.
Yeah, and the shield as well. Yeah. The 300 shield per champion hit, that's a lot of shield if you hit 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I got late game as Eve and I was playing I went all bruiser mode and I would literally bait people into trying to kill me in team fights and just ultimate out, and it was so sick. Like, if you played Eve before, you could never ever do that because she's so squishy. But I was like, had a radio zone and I was like tanking things out. It was fun. It was lots of fun.
She reminds me a bit of Ricky from Dota 2 now as well. How constantly stealthed. I reckon it's awesome because I love Ricky.
Yeah, but I think it works in a way for this game that's like just easier. Like it doesn't feel as punishing. Like, obviously, Dota players are used to play like characters like Ricky, and they have more access to anti-invisibility as well. But so stealth in this game was like a big problem. But it's cool. Yeah. It's cool to have a permanently stealth hero. But it doesn't feel like stupidly broken like it did before. It just was so stupid before.
Do you reckon they're gonna like add another champion that has a stealth mechanic in the future?
I think once they fix this one and like make sure that the model works perfectly, absolutely, I think they could, and that's awesome because this as a fixed stealth, this works really, really well. Just 8 seconds here. 8 second fade time was way too long. But I guess I'm glad it's consistent at every level, not like it doesn't get reduced once she ranks up or anything. So
yeah,
I guess I can be happy about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in like really high play yet, but
that will take a while.
Yeah, it will. But have you guys noticed any like standout people using Evelyn at the moment?
Nope.
Not really.
No, not yet. She's not that good still. She's usable. She's not good yet.
Yeah.
She's really functional.
At least she's not that troll pick anymore. Like, if you see her in a ranked game and somebody chooses Evelyn, like, it's not run for the hills, let's get a dodge anymore. I think
exactly.
Yeah. At least now she's playable and like you said, it's not.
Well, at least we're not using her as a placeholder anymore. So
yeah.
Find a new champion to troll with.
What's our next one, Cryptic?
I guess the big one would be Rumble. Actually toning down his passive a little bit, the danger zone, the bonus being reduced to 25% as opposed to 30%, and also his flame sphere, the damage has been reduced at later ranks by about 80%, and they've changed it so it's not that overpowered Q anymore, just wrecking through people. It's a little bit more normalized.
That was the weirdest, like, unintentional freaking buff ever. Like, for some reason, I'll be getting ganks top lane, and 3 of us would die to 1 rumble, and we'll just face palming, going, "We're so bad at this game." Even though we are bad.
I played him once in like 3 months. I played him once in like 3 months, and then suddenly it's like overpowered as hell. Like that game that I played with you guys, it was ridiculously stupid. I just face rolled everyone.
I still reckon you know if you were scared, you would have definitely chosen him in that game against Femme Fatales for sure. I know you, man.
Yeah, I would have, but nah, I'm not that type of person.
I played Shaco. I feel pretty bad about that.
Oh,
I blame Scream. He made me do it.
Well, they removed like 80 flat damage from rank 5 on the Flame Spitter. That's a lot of damage that he's missing out of. Especially the danger zone damage is going down to 25%. So he'll probably be more balanced now. If not, he'll be completely broken. But nah, he's still very, very strong. The ultimate is so much damage.
well, he already is such a great champion. Like I can remember back for ESGN Winter, Asian Matty was just rolling people with Rumble up top. It was sick what he was doing with them. So any sort of buff on him is just going to break the game almost. It's like, see you later, server. Yeah.
It's like when Maokai broke the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was fun.
So yeah, it's one thing I don't like is though I saw in a lot of tournaments, Rumble was getting chosen a lot while they knew that this bug was out, and there's two ways of looking at it. It's like, well, either ban him so that nobody can pick him, or like there's no honor amongst thieves. So what do you guys reckon? Do you think should Riot intervene and for tournaments take this champion out, or what's the go there?
It's hard to say. It's funny because like it's almost like what happened with Janna Shield, where it was like it was still giving you AD after it wore off, which was obviously not intended, but they kind of marketed it as a fix, not as a bug fix. And it's the same thing with Rumble. It's like, no, we're patching this. It's like, this is broken. Like, this isn't like a bounce fix. This is a bug that has been left in the game. And it's funny you mentioned tournaments. We had 4 tournaments with Rumble being this good. Like in 2 weeks, we had 4 separate tournaments. And in Australia, like in Australia alone, that was a lot. And yeah, Rumble was getting picked all the time. And I think the worst thing was that not everybody knew why he was so good. Like, I didn't know. I was like, why the hell are people picking Rumble all of a sudden? And then I talked to some of the players after the games, and they're like, yeah, he's like insanely broken. So I think it was a lot of the case of admins not knowing that he was actually worth a global ban. But I mean, Riot intervening, they don't like to do that a lot of the time, and I understand why. Like if it's held on their tournament servers, then maybe. But all the tournaments we held were just held on the live client. So I think it's up to admins at that point, and I think they probably just didn't know. So I mean, if the players know and they're letting it through, and they're not telling admins, if you have a ban, you might as well ban him or pick him. So
yeah, absolutely. You know. And do you think that if the admins had known, would they have reached the decision to say, all right, guys, you can't choose Rumble, or do you think it was that bad?
They probably would have banned him.
Yeah.
I think it would. I think it would actually.
Global banned him like we did to Victor when we had that double OT bug.
Yeah. It's a very subtle thing that happened to Rumble, and it's like Denian actually from Gamecom explained it to me. He was like, Rumble has a 3.0 AP ratio in his queue. That's pretty much what it was, which is insane when you think about it. Like they'd never give any champion that much of an AP ratio, and that's basically what happened with the way the numbers worked out. So yeah, it's not something that's easy to see. Like you have to run a lot of numbers to figure that out. But if the players figured it out, they probably could have told the admins. But instead, I felt like they spent more time complaining. But you know, if everyone can pick it, it's I guess it's arguably not unfair. So, who knows?
Yeah. On to the next one.
It's fixed now.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing.
Now everyone knows.
The next one would be the basically the opposite of what happened last patch. They've changed Urgot's Q, Acid Hunter, back to what it was. So now it's like low base damage at early ranks, but it scales off of your total AD as opposed to just your bonus AD. Personally, as I play Urgot from time to time, and I've noticed it a little bit. It feels like it wasn't quite as strong in late game, and so, I mean, that's just me. So I guess they decided to change that back, which I like it. It makes sense to me. But.
Yeah, it's good to see that they've gone, oh shit, we fucked up, so we're going to try and fix it again. Because I remember talking in last episode, like we said, this nerf to Urgot is out of nowhere, and it's pretty harsh. Like for somebody who he's definitely a niche champion. He fills a particular spot on a team in certain comps. They kind of wrecked that for him. So Was he chosen a lot during MLG at all, if at all?
No.
No.
I know during
Who,
Poland
Erga?
he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I know during Poland he was either banned or picked almost every game.
In Poland.
He was played by Cop
Yeah.
today.
Cool.
That was before the nerfs.
Yeah.
That's why
Oh
they
yeah,
were
that's
picking and
right.
banning
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right, because they're running on a different patch.
How did Cop go with him?
Not the best. Yeah, not the best.
No, but I like what they're doing. That they're going back to the drawing board and fixing it again. But I think they should do what they did with Shen, is just change little by little at a time. Like, I think this is the first patch where Shen hasn't been nerfed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
first one in a long time.
the world officially is going to come to an end this year now because it's not the
Shen.
Aztec calendar. It's the League of Legends patch notes. Shen has not been nerfed, so.
No, the Urgot change is basically like, obviously it was a nerf that came out of nowhere, but I'm pretty sure all they wanted to do was try and make him a little bit more viable mid and late game. And that's what a change like having better bonus AD scaling but taking total AD scaling off does. That's the whole point of putting it on a champion. The problem is that it just doesn't work on Urgot. He's all early game. He's a bruiser like mid-late game. Like, he doesn't do much damage, and he's not supposed to. So they realized this and reverted it. And I think this is the first ever reversion, except for one champion, like Yorick was horribly broken, I think, at one point, and they reverted him after completely remaking him. Something like that. Like, but they haven't reverted a whole lot, but it's nice to see that, like,
Yorick on release was horrible. Like,
Yeah,
he
and then
was
they-
not played at all.
And then they hotfix, like, overbuffed him, and then I think they had to revert it as well in a hotfix. Something like that. But it's good to see Urgot back where he belongs, and this is
All
fine.
three of his skills used to scale off AD, and they just changed one of them to AP. Then yeah, that pretty much balanced them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty
It's fine,
ridiculous.
That's a really good point, though. Like what Pastry said, that Riot doesn't tend to revert stuff. We see minor tweaks and changes, but to flat out bring it back and reverse it, it's a good point. You don't see it at all, really. So
It's basically them saying, yeah, okay, that was wrong. Like, the players didn't like that. We realize we don't like it, and we're wrong. Like, and it takes a lot for any company to essentially admit they're wrong, because if you had something right, you change it, and you're forced to change it back 2 weeks later, you kind of look kind of stupid. But Riot are manly enough, I guess, to like be like, okay, this is better this way. So we'll just do what we had before. That was fun.
cool. Anything else, Cryptic?
I guess the last one would be the change to Yorick. His Omen of Famine, actually the ghoul, only healing him for half the damage it deals to minions as opposed to 100% of the damage. So toning back his very strong lane phase, being able to just lifesteal off the creep so easily.
Yeah.
I don't know why it takes Riot this long to fix stuff like this. I'm not kidding. They've probably had this problem like 15 times with different champions, and it's taken them forever to change. I'm like, Aurelia, they took forever to change. Warwick, they took forever to change. And it's just like, they've realized that all they have to do is normalize the sustain. And it took them forever to be like, oh, Yorick, people still play this guy, we should probably fix that.
Yeah, there are so few champions that can sit in a top lane and duke it out with Yorick, just simply because of his sustain and then his damage output. I mean, it's not exactly that sky high, but because he's getting that sustain coming back, he can consistently put it out there and really just push you out of a lane. So I completely agree. Like, he's a massive bully, and like I said, Cho'Gath goes really good against Yorick because of the Vorpal spikes. It's giving Cho'Gath health back, and it's killing the minions at the same time. So I agree. Like, Vladimir, how long did it take for them to fix Vladimir? I mean,
So long.
It gives me a headache.
So long. Yeah. But they've said they don't like sustain. This is like one of the few champions getting played competitively that has sustain that's too good, so they're scaling it back. It makes sense.
Speaking of sustain, actually, I played Tryndamere for the first time since the lifesteal on Vam Scepter changes, so that's a freaking long time. And I was like, it's all good, guys. I got this. I'll solo Baron. Like, I was fed as hell, and all of a sudden Baron's killing me, and I'm like, oh shit. So yeah, they definitely have changed a lot to the sustain, like, because Tryndamere was one of those people, like, it was like if you saw him on the enemy team, you had to have Baron warded, like, no matter what. for one person to solo it, it was pretty bullshit. But yeah, I think you'll see a lot of people in lane with Yorick now being able to stay in there and trade with him now. They won't let him snowball as much anymore. Just
becomes an active lane, which is good. Like, that's the reason they even changed a lot of on-hit sustain to affecting champions, not minions, because it's too passive. So,
and
same deal.
Yorick was basically the new pre-nerf Mordekaiser top lane. I mean, there was literally nothing you could do against a Mord top lane before they changed his bloody E. So, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the latest champion, Zyra. What do we think?
There's actually one more change. Actually, two more changes. Three changes I have to point out still. That
Go
you
for
guys
it, man.
missed. Oh, you did. Just some quick ones. Janna is getting nerfed again because she's too strong in mid.
Janna.
Yeah, poor Janna. Major champion is
Poor
getting
Mickey
Yeah.
Whale, he can't play
Poor
except
Mickey.
Janna.
The only one I play out of these patch notes.
Yeah, but you know, Zephyr got a 0.2 reduction to its AP ratio. That's fine. Rammus gets a little bit more magic resist per level, so now he's actually more of a tank. And the important one actually was Amumu got changed. He actually got nerfed by quite a lot. Both Bandage Toss and Curse of the Sad Mummy have their 1-to-1 ability power ratios taken off. So 0.7 for Bandage and 0.8 for Curse of the Sad Mummy. So AP's still good on him, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be.
Actually, that's a
Tantrum's
really
actually
good
now
point.
better. Yeah, Amumu got hit with the bat in the face, which is good. He was a little bit too good, so he's now a bit more normal.
Yeah, so somebody with that much utility and crowd control, he was putting out a lot of damage as well, and to lock a whole team down and like just a particular target as well with Bandage Toss, it seemed a bit unfair. Like as soon as he'd latch onto a carry, say goodbye to half their health almost. You know, so
it'll make his ganks worse as well, and that was the thing. Like, the reason Amumu started getting played again, because traditionally, you know, he's a jungler that is very reliant on blue buff. And if he needs level 6 as soon as possible. But people realize that Bandage Toss did so much damage that if you just like got a few Doran's rings and got an early point to Bandage, you could actually gank from level 3 onwards and have it be quite successful. And just the damage output is ridiculous. So Amumu actually became a good aggressive jungler, which doesn't make any sense when you think about how Amumu was traditionally played. So this will reduce that a little bit, but all those players that like playing him aggressively will still be able to. Just it won't be as good. They also nerfed his passive slightly as well. Has a little bit less on the duration for the magic the magic penetration. So it's good. Just Amumu is a little bit too crazy.
Does anyone
That's it.
else want to add anything at all before we jump? Like, interrupt me at any stage, guys.
That's all good.
All good? Sweet.
Nope.
Well, the new champion Zyra, I was definitely talking her up last episode. I've been looking forward to her for ages, and you know, she dropped about, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, and needless to say, she's pretty freaking powerful. Mechanical keyboard there.
That
She's
keyboard noise.
extremely overpowered.
You like my
mic,
Zyra,
so
don't
sad.
you, Fantasy?
Huh?
You
Excuse
like
me?
my Zyra, don't you, buddy?
I played her before. I played her where she was released with Minky Whale. We basically solid barrage with 2 people with only her damage. Like,
Wow.
she got so much damage, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. She is fantastic at taking down objectives like blue buff, red, anything of that sort. She can power it down just with her plants because they do so much damage. Like, I really underestimated how much they can do, and I didn't realize how much they were doing until I played against a Zyra, not as Zyra. And yeah, they really tend to punish you out. And the fact that she can put down so much damage onto an entire team, I think that's why a lot of people are crying foul, because she can just drop anybody at the moment. What do you think, Pastry? Give us your spiel.
She does everything. Like, I don't understand. The only thing she's not good at is getting away in ganks. She's really squishy, and she has no actual escape. She's got plenty of CC, but she has no way to actually get out of a gank, like, say, Gragas does, for an example. Or Ari. Ari's a great example. You know, she has no mobility, which is good, because she is a fairly positioning-relied champion with all the plants and stuff. But she literally does everything. She has CC, she has burst, and she has sustained DPS.
Her
And
E is overpowered. That's
think-
what I was gonna say. It goes through minions and it's a snare. That's a lot better
so
than
annoying.
Morgana.
The range on it is just unexpectedly long, so you can get caught out hard with that.
That's what I was just about to say. I think that they need to nerf the range on her E because it's really long. Like it's almost as long as Lee Sin's bloody Q. So, I I like the fact that, like Pastry said, she can do everything except from really she doesn't have an escape. But when you're playing Zyra middle lane, there's no excuse for you. Like if you feel like you're getting ganked by a jungler, all you do is just walk over, put your plant over the wall, and then there you go. You got your free information. So she can be played really safe as well. That's what I love the most about it. Like if you're invading, put your plants down, your little seeds down in common entrances and exits, and you know that you've got your back being watched by your seeds. But have we seen her at all in high level play yet?
She's always banned in solo queue, so
Yeah, I never get a chance to play her.
yeah. Haven't really seen her.
What do we think we need to nerf on her to bring her down a little bit more into line with other mages? I know you know something cryptic. Come on, buddy.
Like I said, I definitely want the range on her E. I think it's just so easy to catch people off guard with it that it makes it such a strong tool to have. And I don't know, I kind of feel like the damage on her ultimate being instant as opposed to when it's knocking people up, it makes it so that it's almost deceptive where you think it's you got out of it, but you've already taken damage from it as soon as you put it down. So
actually, that's a good point. Do you think it should deal half the damage when it lands, and then it should do the other half when it knocks you up?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't mind that so much.
Yeah, that would be fine. Or even, I guess, making it do full damage when it comes back wouldn't make sense. So I think that works for me, and that would reduce her burst a lot as well. Like, it's so dumb. You snare them, you throw your ult in, you can throw your plants in while your ultimate's on them. So they take damage, they get knocked back up, your plants are there, and then you activate them, and they just take stupid amounts of damage. Like, if you've seen, like, even the Champion's Follow, when you see her do a combo, I saw that and I was like, that can't be good. It's just so dumb. So she's a little bit too. Again, I think she just does everything a little bit too well. They need to decide whether or not they want her to be more of a burst champion or more of a sustained DPS champion. And once they decide that, I think they can make the right changes. But I was very surprised not to see a single change in this patch.
I think the reason why that they did that is Riot themselves don't know what to do yet to balance her out. I think they thought, all right, we know there's an issue, that we know that there's a problem. Let's not make the problem worse. Let's just go back to the drawing board. Let's have a think about this, leave her as she is at the moment, and then we'll come back to it and see what we can get from there. I love her. Like literally, when she dropped, everything that I wanted out of the character, she pretty much brought to the table. Like she's one of my favorite champions to play at the moment, and I like the fact that she has a high skill ceiling as well. Like you can play her as just an average player and be like, yep, you can dominate with her. But then if you've got a really good skill set, you can do some really magic things with her at the same time. So she's not as complex as Oriana, but she still has that side to her as well, which I really like. I see you shaking your head there, Fantasy. You're like, no way, man.
I reckon she's one of the easiest unreleased champion to play. Her Q is so easy to hit. It's so good for early game harassment, and you just put a seed on top of the Q. It just does so much damage. I don't like it at all.
Once they change the numbers, she'll be an actual skill-based champion. Yeah. Like she would be, apart from the fact that she just kills you. Like, you have to set up all the intricate things and put down the right plants and activate them and position them properly. And then really at the end it doesn't matter because your ultimate's already killed them. So she will be once she gets played. Any champion that's like Heimerdinger makes me happy because I love Heimerdinger.
Yeah. That's a good point. Like, it's easy enough hitting your skill shots, hitting your E and your Q, but it's difficult to get your plant down first and snare them with your plant right next to them, and then drop another seed behind them, hit the Q. Like, to get the perfect combo, it actually takes quite a lot of good mechanics to do. And I don't hit it every time because by the time you put your seed down, they already know something's up and they're already retreating. So to hit your plant and the snare at the same time, and have it come up perfectly. That's what I mean. Like, she can have a high skill cap. I mean, at the moment, like you said, Paige, she just fucking kills you anyway. So
Ultimates.
yeah, it's like yeah. But I think once she's brought back down, we're going to see some really like specialist Zyra players, which will be really cool.
Yeah.
Anyone want to throw anything else in about Zyra?
So cool.
It's all cool.
Haven't played her.
Haven't played her at all.
Nah, haven't played much League this week.
Busy.
Oh.
We'll play it after this. We'll play a game after this, and you can go mid.
Sounds good.
Cool. So the next champion, the brand new one off the bat, Diana, Scorn of the Moon. You want to take it away, Cryptic? I was going to call you Dyrus then.
I can pretend. I'll always pretend. I'll get a pillow. It's okay. From what we've seen so far, and also we have a video up on YouTube of you demonstrating a little bit of what you can do.
Showing what not
strong.
to do. Just basically showing everybody how to fail.
She seems pretty strong, and I mean, as they preview her a little bit before, they kind of talked about her being an AP jungler, which would be an interesting concept because we really don't have too many AP junglers as of right now.
We have one.
So I mean, that would be really cool to see, and yeah, pretty much one good one.
Just one.
It'd be cool to have another one around, and she does have a lot of potential. She has some good mobility to jump in and jump out, get in there. She does good damage. She has a lot going for her in her kit.
Yeah, you bring up the good point. We don't have any AP junglers. I mean, I sat down and had to think about it the other day. Who could you call a true AP jungler? I mean, Amumu, you might be able to slide in there, but it's really just Fiddlesticks. Can anyone else think of AP jungler at all other than Fiddle?
Heimerdinger.
Yeah.
I've loved to Ohima jungle, so...
I love Heimer jungle.
Yeah.
But no, just Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, and
Fiddlesticks.
you can tell that the way she's been designed, especially with her passive, the way it is that she is designed for the jungle. In the video I made, I took a top lane and built a AP, just flat AP, and what I do, I rushed Lichbane into Deathcap, and she's got quite a lot of burst damage once you get her to that stage, but she's definitely not a top lane either. Like, she belongs in the jungle, but she's got a great kit for ganking. Like, if you land your Q, because the Q's got quite a long range on it. So if you land your Q from, say, Riverbush and it hits a target, you can ulti in on them. When they start running away, you use your E ability to drag them back in, and then you can ulti back on top of them as well. So she's pretty cool, and I like the lore behind her. She's kind of the anti-Leona. What do you guys reckon?
I'm trying to find her skill set again, because I read it. Like, I skimmed through it when she got previewed. I think I found it. It's around it. I think so. Should be. Hang on.
I'll link you along with numbers there.
Thanks, sir. But yeah, like, I mean, the lore is cool. Like, I was actually just reading through, like, trying to find her abilities, and there was a post on the League of Legends front page that was like, there's a whole bunch of stuff about Diana right now, because obviously the release has been delayed, so they've decided to go ahead and, like, do it like a developer AMA and stuff, and, just provide more information, to kind of whet people's appetites before she comes out. But basically, she was born from this one bit of story about Leona, which is pretty cool. Like, when you think about how champions are created, like, they have a good idea and they're like, you know what, we need to make this work, because it's just cool having the anti-Leona. So that part is cool, and of course, when I actually figure out what her abilities are, I will be able to comment more. But leave the people that may have actually read them and remember what they are, because right now I cannot.
Well, I think I'll throw in there that her secondary skin, I think, is pretty freaking sweet. Like, she looks like a night elf from WoW. But speaking of other skins, what's the go with Cho'Gath getting, like, another legendary? I mean,
It's awesome.
it's a sick skin, but do you guys think it's a little bit unfair that he's getting another legendary skin while others are missing out?
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think eventually they're going to double up on someone anyway and give someone else a legendary skin, and we'd be talking about that champion, like, getting all mad about that. So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Considering,
Eventually they'll change the legendary skins, and Annie will have a real skin.
Yeah.
I've got that legendary skin, and I want it to be
Me
better.
too. Me too. It's fantastic.
It is.
You know.
Twisted Fate,
Eventually.
magnificent Twisted Fate needs
Twisted
fixing too.
Fate. Oh, he's a joke.
Yeah. Not to mention his really gay freaking Jack Hart skin before the remake, like before they brought the Japanese, not Japanese, the Chinese splash art. Do you remember what the Twisted
I
Fate
remember.
Jack Hart?
It's really bad.
It's so bad.
Oh, I need to look at that.
Oh my god. Oh, but do you guys have the abilities up at the moment? Because I cannot find them.
She's melee, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll link it in
She's
the chat.
melee.
Google Plus. She's melee. Okay. All I can think of when I look at her is Luna from Dota, but that's just me, because she has the word Moonlight in her ability skill set.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just looking through now, her passive is insane.
Yeah.
If there was ever a passive for junglers, that's kind of insane.
Well, that's the reason why she can't play top lane, because you can't really last hit, because every third hit you're going to push the lane out. So
Yeah.
I found when I was playing her, I had to not hit and wait for that passive to wear off.
Yeah. Because
I need to play her. She looks interesting.
Did you download the PBE the other day?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, sweet. Oh, that's right. You couldn't make it because you had to do stuff with Carnage, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to do stuff with Carnage.
Well, me and Huego, we played a game and uploaded onto YouTube, and yeah, she's fun to play. Like the Q shot, it's really weird. Like it's
a curve.
Yeah, and it's got a long range of it on it, but because it's kind of slow, I had troubles hitting it. Put it that way. So, but the thing I like, you can be sitting in front of your minion wave and you can loop it around and hit the player behind their caster minions without pushing the lane. And yeah,
You're still gonna push with a passive anyway, so
Yeah,
that doesn't really matter.
but and also I like the fact that it is like an AOE as well. So anyone who walks through it, they're gonna cop damage. So you can really do some cool stuff, kind of like Akali with her ultimate. You can jump around and focus fire all the squishies on the team, so she's pretty fun to play.
She actually reminds me of Akali, now that you mention it. I was trying to think who the other melee AP champions, and Akali's the only one.
Yeah, like there's a really good moment where I jump through a wall onto a player and get the kill. It's pretty sick. Like when you get that proc off Lichbane, say goodbye to a person's health. It's huge damages, but the problem is you've got to get there first, and she is so item dependent. But like speaking on like a jungle side of things, Wit's End is going to be amazing on her.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't build reroll on her, so you're gonna have to build Wit's End.
Yeah,
which is good.
actually, I was talking about that the other day. I want there to be an AP version of Wriggle's Lantern.
I don't. I don't. It'll hurt. It'll break the game. Probably.
Can we just break the game for a little while to see what it's like?
No.
No.
Maybe. I don't know. No.
I think
No.
Cryptic's asleep there. He's kind of frozen.
No. I'm just,
He's got a buzz on.
yeah, I'd
from
have
his
to
beard.
agree. I just have to agree. If we had an AP Wriggles, that would just be silly.
Because it wouldn't go in any junglers. It would go in mid laners, and they'd never have to watch themselves again. And they'd become horrible, abusive little bitches. Yeah, no, it's not happening.
As mid lane, I approve.
My words. No AP Wriggles. No, thank you. But Wit's End is cool. I mean, itemizing her is going to be hard, as you said. And I think Wit's End in the jungle is actually a good thing to point out, because a lot of people will build her and be like, oh, I want a Wriggle's Lantern, and they're like, oh, this doesn't do anything. This sucks. And especially like if she is farm dependent, having her be a jungler and be farm dependent is not a good combination. So we'll see. Her kit's pretty cool. It doesn't seem like her W seems insane if you know how to use it right.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
I like the fact that it replenishes once the stacks have blown up. But I kind of I was thinking, like, you've got to run into them with the shield on, don't you?
Yeah, they have to detonate, so that I assume they like circle around you and then they explode.
No, it is
that's
pretty cool.
Right. I mean, you have.
You go, man. Sorry.
I think like her E, from the sounds of things, if it draws in on nearby enemies and slows them, then that's your standard combo. Is actually does no only her. Okay, the thing that's weird to me is that her Q is the only ability that gives the debuff Moonlight, which is obviously the thing that works best with her ultimate. So it's going to be really hard to get kills with her because you're going to have to land your Q, E them, put your W on to do the full damage, and then ultimate to them, and then ultimate to them again after you proc Moonlight. And depending on the cooldowns, you might be able to do it a third time if you can land Crescent Strike again. But that's pretty insane. If you're like trying to hit people with a curved skill shot, that's a lot of work to get them full damage out of her. But if it's worth it, like I mean, it's worth it with Akali, and there's a fair amount of work you have to do there to kind of line everything up perfectly. Like it could be pretty cool, but I get the massive Akali vibes from this pick, pretty much.
Yeah, and the ulti...
Better jungling.
Yeah, the ulti doesn't do a huge amount of damage either. Like, it's kind of small, like, compared to Akali when she's got her debuff on you. It's nowhere near as much. I think maybe they might... I wonder if they've considered if her shield, her W, places the debuff on you as well. Like, I didn't see that. Like, I downloaded the PBE straight away once she was released, and that wasn't in there then, so I don't know if they try that or not.
I think one of her other abilities probably needs to proc Moonlight as well, because just having the Q doesn't sound useful to me. Maybe the E, not the W, because the W...
You missed the Q, I don't know how she's going to do her damage.
Yeah, or how are you going to get in? Like, you ultimate doesn't refresh. If you so if you miss your Q, your gank as a jungler, or like your combo if you're in a skirmish or in a teamfight, just drops completely. So I think that's part of the reason they're trying to fix her. But apparently Stonewall tweeted that her jungling speed was just ridiculous. So they might scale that back down a little as well.
Yeah, I think like with the E, because it is an AoE and it's quite large, I think if that placed the debuff on everyone, it might be a bit rough. But I think you're onto it with the W, man. Her shield. I think if that, like, because that generally tends to target one person. I think that's fair enough. If they're trying to get away and you've hit your E on them, and then your shield bursts on them as well, I think that's fair enough. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So we'll see when she actually comes out, when everything's fixed and finalized.
If I'm reading it properly, is it similar to Ari's W? Or I'm just reading it wrong, I don't know.
Yes, it is like that. Except they don't have a range. They don't have a personal range. It just they rotate around you and you hit them in melee range pretty much. From what I'm reading. Go watch Tempest's video, guys.
You'll see how not to play her, that's for sure.
But you'll see what her abilities do. So
yeah.
But yeah, she seems interesting. I can't wait to see her actually in live.
Yeah. Was there any other balance changes or anything like that we have missed?
I think other than that, just skins, and we got AFK detection, which is kind of nice.
Yes, that is so cool. I love that new Q pop now with that. Like you see so many dodges now. Like you have to re-enter Q over and over, but it definitely beats when you're in a ranked game having somebody get a random pick. I love that.
Well, I would hate being high elo. You have to wait for like 30 minutes and then suddenly someone AFKs during the wait time. You have to wait for another 30 minutes for another person.
Yeah. So you don't get preference though? So you don't get like preference after... Because you know how in Dota 2 you get like high priority after someone dodges? Is that not the same anymore in League?
Oh, you'll probably get priority, yeah.
It makes sense if you did. And like I've said heaps of times, the more Riot copies Dota 2, the better, because that just their UI, everything about Dota 2 is really, it's done well. Like they've put the time and energy into it and thought it through.
Yeah, I agree.
Like just people dropping from games. Like I love the fact in Dota 2, if somebody leaves, you don't have to sit there for the next 20 minutes.
Exactly, it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of people who just bitch out and be like, whatever, I'm going
And there's vote kick too. Vote kick.
Oh,
that in the wrong hands.
I'll probably kick my jungler like every single time. Why you not getting complaint?
That happens never. Queuing with fantasy again.
Oh my god, brutal as fuck. You're so mean, fantasy.
Well, that's why luckily you need everybody to agree. So.
Yeah.
It would turn into Twisted Treeline. It'd just be like 1 AD, 1 mid, and 1 top. Like, no support. Everyone's like complaining that they don't do anything. Yeah, it'd be funny.
Cool.
It's funny, actually. The biggest complaint about Dota 2 is its engine. That's the thing that people dislike for the most part, that I found. Just because it's a bit wonky. But yeah, it's funny they got everything else right, except the whole game engine.
Yeah, they got everything right, but I can't stand playing it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I think it's so shit. Like, I hate the fact that towers don't target enemy players while they're just chunking you away under your own tower. Like, what are you doing? Help!
And it doesn't go for minions before it goes for you either.
Well, I don't get it at all. It's too complicated.
It's all Dota. Dota has its own special engine. But hey, all the Dota players are used to it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
There's people out there flaming us right now. Just.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a big Dota 2 fan. Shout outs to Dota 2. We love you, Val.
Yeah. Cool. So MLG, what do you guys reckon?
Oh yeah.
So good. I love watching it. That's what I've been doing all weekend.
Yeah, I was at work when you linked it to me, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't watch."
Oh, really?
Yeah, because usually
torturing you.
Yeah, I can watch anything I want at work when it's not busy, but we're actually busy on Saturday, so I couldn't watch it at all.
Where do you work?
I'm an IT techie, and
that's good.
Yeah.
And you would have access. Yeah.
During the week, like I'm just out back in my cave, just fixing computers, but on a Saturday, I've actually got to get out front and sell computers and crap. And yeah, I was like, oh no. I caught some of it, but is there any particular games you guys want to bring up? I mean, obviously TSM versus
Azubu.
Azubu.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that one in a minute. But other than that one, any other games you want to talk about?
I didn't see the other games.
I only saw Azubu versus TSM.
Yeah. I'd say the Curse versus Black wasn't a bad series to watch either. We definitely saw some cool play out of Pobelter, because we don't see very much out of him in general. And, I mean, Jaina top lane, that was awesome.
One thing that was weird, I watched Curse versus TSM today, and down bot, Cop and Elements were pushing right to the tower against, who was it? Shen? And I think it was Shen. And they wouldn't take the tower, but they wouldn't zone him either. I don't know why that is. And yeah, it was like they could have zoned him and prevented him from getting CS and XP, but what's the reason for that? Instead, they thought that they were denying.
Just didn't want to get too close to the tower.
Yeah, they probably thought they were denying.
But like, they could have denied CS as well, couldn't they? And XP, if they zoned. I don't know, but it put Janna, who was soloing top. Did you see that? Janna was soloing top against Graves and Soraka.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Obviously didn't go well. So.
Really? That sounds okay, actually. But
really? No.
Yeah.
Well, the Janna died, obviously. And
okay, that's not good. If you die, there's no way you can win that lane.
And then we're getting zoned. He was getting zoned hardcore, Pobelter, so it wasn't good. So they really,
There was actually, now that you bring that up, there was a game last week that I was watching. I can't remember what it was, but there was Graves and Graves and Sona top against a Shen, and then Olaf bottom against whatever AD support combo it was. And the top lane pushed into Shen, destroyed his tower, took away all of his EXP, and then they swapped back and got Olaf to go farm top. It was a fantastic strategy. I really liked that. Like, they had top tower dead around the 7-8 minute mark. Like, it was really good, and I like seeing these new strategies come about. Like, we've all seen, bottom lane go top heaps of times. We've seen, AD and support go top, probably like since last year. But text message. Harry Potter, y'all.
Magical.
Yeah,
nice.
It is magic. What was I saying? Yeah, I like seeing just these new strategies come about, because everyone says, no, you have to have your AD and support bottom lane because you have control over Dragon. Well, make a new strategy. That's what Meta's all about. So
The thing is about that, they actually, like, you'll notice that most of the people that do the duo top actually move bottom lane in about 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
for that exact reason. And it's really, really funny when both teams decide to do it because you actually don't gain an advantage. Like, the whole point of 2v1 in top lane is to get top an early advantage. And it doesn't work if both teams do it, and it ends up just being really funny.
And
I think some teams do it as well. I think it was Reborn. They ran to top and they made their jungler solo dragon uncontested because there was no one to ward it at all. So it's all strategic, but then you have to see how they're doing it.
That's cool. Solo dragon.
Who did they have soloing dragon? Do you remember?
Lee Sin.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Winston. Fucking, I hate Lee Sin, man, so much.
Lee Sin's awesome. I love Lee Sin.
Maybe if we had like a latency of 50, then perhaps I'd like it.
Yeah, that hurts.
True.
He's still a good champion. I don't know. I play Lee Sin like Blitzcrank. It's just so hard if you're trying to smart coast his skill shots if you don't play him well enough because I always miss. Always miss.
Cool. So TSM versus Azubu. What do we reckon? How epic was that game?
The whole series was epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was epic.
At one
It was.
I thought
not that
TSM was
close.
going to
Not
lose.
towards the end.
Like, I thought they
Yeah.
TSM, yeah. Game one, I think you can arguably say that both teams threw at points, and I guess TSM like threw the last time. So the team that throws last loses, I guess.
Yeah, TSM was saying that like their strategy is just to prevent team fights because that's not their strong point. They're just really strong at getting objectives. So if you notice, like they both had similar gold and similar kills, but Azubu just steamrolled through all their towers, so they didn't know what to do. It's really interesting.
Yeah, but their objective play was better as a result. They just did more with the kills they got, and they're coordinated and confident enough with all their tower dives because they tower dive so much.
Yeah, they were so aggressive.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's funny that like the last time we saw TSM get beaten this convincingly was probably IM.
M5,
M5 first played, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Azubu's play is very reminiscent of M5's M5 played when they first came out, and now it's like now M5 are like not nearly as aggressive it seems as they used to be. Been taken over by the Koreans.
I think that's one good thing to note, that anybody doubting the Korean teams can definitely see that now. Like the proof is in the pudding. League of Legends is starting to take over in Korea over StarCraft 2, and everyone says if you're born in Korea, you're just going to be an awesome. You're going to be an awesome pro gamer. So, and we can see that this team just came out and just really put it to TSM really hard, and it was good to watch. Like, my favourite team is TSM ever since I started watching League of Legends. I mean, TSM and AAA, hands down, have always been my favourite, and it's good to see that TSM, they went through, they got beaten by M5. They got their roster changed. They got Dyrus on the team. They improved, like literally. I don't think anyone can argue that they're like the #1 team on the planet. And now that they're struggling again. Like they had a team come out and really make them work for it, which is how you improve. I mean, metal sharpens metal at the end of the day. So
yeah, well, I think they needed that because they were not all dedicated as each other, so they needed that to wake them up for season 2, or else, because when they win, they actually like relax a little bit too much, I think. Yeah,
they do, and I've noticed they even say it themselves in vlogs they make.
Yeah, they
like,
do.
They haven't been practicing. I'm like, that's not good. You don't get better still practicing. And I think that's the biggest distinction between, like, maybe even between just the West and the East in terms of how they prepare for tournaments. Like, you heard the Koreans talk in interviews, they never ever stop practicing. They have a very strict practice schedule. And, the American teams have got plenty of talent. They're very, very good teams. But if you're getting out-practiced by a bunch of Asian teams, of course you're going to get destroyed because you just don't practice as much. And that's really what it takes. And the esports as a whole needs to realize this. And certainly Western esports, and this applies not just to League of Legends, this applies across the board in esports, that Western is just lazier.
Exactly.
The Asian, and it's just, you're not going to get good. You're not going to beat, the foreign StarCraft players aren't going to beat the Koreans if they don't practice as much. And hopefully, as everything goes on and esports grows, that we'll actually have teams dedicated to professionally playing, actually full time rather than fake full time.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it's if the rematch of MLG is Azubu versus TSM, because we still haven't decided that yet. That'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, because TSM sort of took on that Azubu strategy today against Curse. Did you see?
Yeah, I saw the tweet about it. I didn't actually watch it. I just saw St. Vicious.
Oh, yeah, they were just fully aggressive, taking all the objectives. It was just like them. It was just like the Azubu game.
Yeah,
really
I mean, it's not even like it's not necessarily a strategy. That's just playing confidently.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like your strategy is be aggressive. Like I saw, and this I actually tweeted about this today. Like I saw St. Bishop's like, oh, say TSM used the push strategy. I'm like, it's not a push strategy. They're not pushing. They're just killing you and taking your towers. That's simple. It's not like they've got like harmony and Mordekaiser and just going down the middle trying to push a tower. Which I've done before. That's amazing. By the way, you know, it's not. We've never seen a push strategy that you see in Dota. If anyone ever follows Dota, there are real push strategies in that game, but not in this game.
Who actually watched it?
I wasn't watching it actually. I just.
So no one here watched it?
Again. No, I'm sorry. I wasn't watching
You guys.
Come on, I got wasted last night, so the earliest I was getting out of bed was 11 o'clock. I'm surprised I made it. Cryptic's carrying on for me. He's holding the torch, drinking his beers right now, so...
Yeah.
Well, it's actually like late where you are now.
I would tag me in.
To be fair, it's now 1 o'clock, guys. It's now acceptable.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But back to the whole East versus West and esports. Like I know we've talked about this before, but I linked a video with Tasteless being interviewed by JP, and JP was asking Tasteless, what would it take to get you back to America? Would it be money? And Tasteless pretty much came out and said flat no. He said Korea literally, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the way of life that really fosters esports. I mean, if you have a look in the West, esports, yes, it is growing. It's getting more legitimate, but it's still laughed at. A lot of people, if you said I'm a pro gamer, a lot of people would laugh at you and go, "What?" You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not taken seriously. I mean, like my parents when I was little, they're like, you know, you're never going to get paid doing that. Do your homework. Don't stop playing games. And it's like, well, I can be a pro gamer now, but they'll still be like, no, just no. Do your homework. You know, and until that mentality changes, it's going to remain the same in the West. And we've seen Curse and TSM taking on board the lessons that they have learnt from the East, where the TSM did hire a team manager, and they hired him to basically look at their diet, make sure that their training routine is acceptable, all that kind of stuff. That's been in place in Korea for ages, but that needs to be brought over more into Western teams. And I think StarCraft 2 teams have it over League of Legends teams at the moment, just because they've got more interaction with Korea. They can learn their lessons a lot more, and I don't know, it's going to take time. Literally, that's all it takes. It's just time.
Yeah. What do you guys think of how Curse has a coach giving them calls?
I think that's fair. Oh, in tournaments?
Yeah, like this
Yeah, he like stands behind them.
Is that legal?
From what I
There's
heard,
there's actually a lot of pro games. Like if you look at any like pro Halo game, for example, in MLG, every team has a coach behind them calling out spawn timers, that kind of thing. So
yeah, like I actually think it's awesome, and I think if that's allowed within the rules of a tournament, you're stupid not to have a coach.
But some can't afford it. That was what they were saying. Is it's for teams that can afford a coach.
It's
kind of unfair though, because you have a support, you have a jungler, they keep your timers. Why would you need someone else to do it? But then it's like unfair disadvantage because you can have like 6 people playing against you, you know, because the other person's gonna be remembering every single timer, every single summoner spell, and yeah, the other players can just focus on what they're doing in game.
I know Skara said he didn't think it was a good idea.
I think in tournament games, I think it's a bad idea. I think if you're training, like having a coach at your house like 1v1 with you that's very necessary. Like, I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
For me, the biggest thing that that especially Western esports needs to follow is it needs to try and mirror professional sports as much as possible, because the model's proven to work. Like, it's funny that we talk about the West and America in particular, or North America, I guess, as a whole. But, you know, they have one of the best professional sports leagues in the world across multiple sports. There's a ton of money. It's like its own industry. It's like, I don't know if it's bigger or like smaller than, say, the film industry or the music industry, but it in of itself, professional sports leagues are an entire industry in America, and it gives the players who play the best opportunity to get better. And if we want esports to be a serious sport, then it needs to follow that model as closely as possible. And it's funny that the West seems to be lagging behind, despite having years and years of professional sports history and success. They just can't seem to figure that out, that all they need to do in esports is just give the players as much support as professional athletes get. And when teams are ready to put that kind of money down, when the sponsors are interested enough, when there's enough money within the industry itself to grow that, in fact, to have that be worth it, then we'll see a lot of change. But I think at the moment that's probably one of the biggest things, is that how much does everybody want to commit in terms of cash, and how big is the payoff? Because, you know, if you're committing all this money and all these resources to having professional gamers, is the payoff actually worth it? You know, is the prize money enough? Is the sponsorship money enough? Is the coverage of your team as a brand getting enough, etc., etc.? So, you know, how viable is your team as a business? And as esports moves forward in the next, I'd say, even 2 years, like within at least 2 years, definitely 5, that's a lot of teams are going to have to ask themselves, okay, how do we want to approach this? And how can we do this in a way where we get as close to professional sports as possible? Because we're not going to get, esports won't get anywhere if we don't try and make it the biggest self-sustaining industry that it needs to be in order to keep going. So I think a lot of it is players and teams can't afford, like, coaches, for example. But in general, moving towards more of that model is very necessary. But at tournaments, that I think is completely up to the admins. If they want to allow coaches, then there's nothing the players can do. And that might suck for a couple of teams. And I don't think it's necessarily a good thing for esports, but, you know, if the admins allow it, then deal with it. And you're dumb not to have a coach if you can afford one.
I think maybe not having the coach in the box with them while the game's being played, but in between games, I think definitely the coach should be allowed to come up to the team and go, okay, this is what you did good, guys, keep it up. This is what you got to change. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think
like normal sports.
Yeah, just like normal sports. Like, you know, when you're boxing, you know, once the round's over, you're on the chair, your coach is telling you all that kind of crap. So,
yeah.
And as for getting as professional as possible, I think we definitely have to tip our hats to MLG. Like, considering what they were a few years ago to what they are now, they're definitely leading the way and basically being that vessel, kicking down doors and saying, okay, look, esports is a real sport and you can make money off this. And yeah, I love MLG. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're a great organization. But the thing is, it seems like the organizations that run events and that do broadcasting are growing faster than the teams themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because we're going to run out of players. Like, as the business grows and as broadcasters get more money and are able to have better productions and accommodate more people, etc. I mean, we're lucky to the fact that it's online. We can support, like, hundreds of thousands of people on broadcast, which obviously, if you're trying to fill a space that big, physically anywhere in the world is kind of impossible, or very, very difficult, shall I say. And the fact that it's all online, you don't have to worry about paying for seating or venues or anything like that. You know, that's an advantage that online broadcasting has.
Yeah,
but
you bring up a good point about running out of players. Like, it's playing a game is easy, but being good at it, and especially being as good as these guys are, like, literally, that's another thing. Like, the perception out there is, oh, you're just playing a game, I could do that. It's like, well, no, you can't. You know? So I'd like to see you try, pretty much. So and these guys, there's a reason why they're that good. They put in the effort, but they are brilliant. They are the tip of the sword.
Yeah, but it's not like the players aren't treated as professionals enough yet. Whereas, and that's my worry, is that the broadcaster and the broadcast itself will exceed the amount of time and effort these players are actually getting. And again, you're not going to have good leagues if the players aren't allowed to practice. And if teams aren't able to support their players on a full-time professional salaried level, then the coverage is going to outrun the players themselves very, very quickly. And that's just horrible long-term.
Yeah, and Tasteless brought that up too. He said for esports to improve, that the players, they need to be spoiled more. Like, they have to show up to an event and have their game like literally everything done for them. All they have to do is practice and play, and they need some sort of infrastructure involved where they show up to the event. Somebody goes, okay, you're on in half an hour or whatnot. You're on an hour. Here you go. Practice over here. Then go here for your games. And it's notorious for games not being on time. Nobody knowing what the hell's going on. People getting lost getting to the event where it's been taking place. So we learn from our mistakes. Like it takes time to we stuffed this up. Next time we'll get better at it. So hopefully that's what happens. But anyways, we've been going on for a while now, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Unless anyone wants to add anything, we got like our fan mail thingo coming up.
Oh, sick!
I know.
That's nice.
We got a lot this week too. I mean, we had 2 people write in 1 week. That's massive for us.
Oh.
So anyway, the first one is from, just looking here, Twisted Focus. Basically, he says, in regards to what you talked about Darius in the latest patch, I'm more than pleased to hear that Morello will be bringing his nerd hammer down on Darius's head. I think he still does way too much damage in respect to his mana costs. However, I take extra special care to express my detest to players of Darius when I plow through them in top lane with Poppy. Keep up the good work and get me on the show before I make my own Renegade podcast called Kill Secured. So, what do you guys reckon about Darius? Do you think he's in a pretty good place right now? Like, I for one definitely think ever since his ultimate got nerfed, where he has to get the killing blow with it, he's in a much better place.
It's perfectly fine. I don't see any more changes needed for him.
If it was a more versatile pick, I'd be worried, but he's not, so it's fine. He's basically a counter pick purely, and that's even if he does insanely well in the lanes you pick him for, it's basically you have a coin flip to get a good matchup when you pick Darius. So there's nothing wrong there. I mean, he's going to abuse those lanes even if you nerf his damage slightly, and I don't think
he's easy to kite. That's his bad point.
Oh yeah, he's awful in team fights as well. That's definitely true. You can set him up, but I think it's too much work to try and set him up in a team fight. Like Severe Darius would be really sick, just as an example. Just giving him mobility, or just force Aurelius wherever he's. Just go straight in. Because once he gets in, he's great. But
yeah, get those Nikes on and just.
Exactly. Boots of mobility Australians for every Darius. Just send him in.
Cool. So
he's fun.
Our next letter is from Snake Boy. He sent in about 3 or 4, but we'll talk about this one. Basically, Snake Boy, he jungles a lot, and he's finding that in the ELO bracket that he's in the 1200 area, that people don't understand how to work well with their jungle. Basically, they're spending all their abilities too soon. He'll be sitting in the bush pinging them, and they won't start to move for him to basically get a successful gank. Basically, writes here, example, I'm playing jungle Alistar. I come to gank bot lane with Kate and Tarek. Kate has 0 mana. I ping 10 seconds before allowing them to know I'm coming to gank. Kate says, what the fuck, I have no mana, don't gank, and doesn't even launch off one shot. He's also talking about... he says here, this also applies to mid when mid only has 1 or 2 spells after they cast them, then they run away. So basically he's saying once he gets in ganks, mid lane will cast their spells and then they'll turn back instead of chase towards the tower and get auto attacks in. And basically, from what he's trying to say is people are underestimating what auto attacks do for ganking. Just because you're an AP, those little last hits can add up. So I know what you mean, man, and like it is a pain in the ass. Unfortunately, you're playing a game where you're not communicating with the other players via voice unless you're on Skype, and it's really hard to get on the same page. But yeah, 1200 ELO, we know what that's like.
No, I guess the only thing I can say is try to pick champions that aren't so utility based, like Maokai, like you said, Alistar.
If you're a Toronto healer, you're better off farming the jungle than ganking, to be honest.
Trying to counter jungle, trying to press your individual skill if you have it there, picking something like Lee Sin or something that's going to be able to dominate their jungle as well as yours.
Cool. Rightio, well that wraps us up. We'll just do our shout-outs and stuff. We'll start with you, Pastry.
Yep, forever shameless self-promotion. Guys, if you want to check out more of me, you can check out my YouTube, youtube.com/itspastrytime. You can follow me on Twitter @pastrytime, which I use a ton. I've got a Facebook page as well, you guys can like that. I do post this sometimes, but if you need me more, then Twitter is where it's at, because I definitely tweet a ton, and anyone who follows me on Twitter can attest to that. But Facebook is facebook.com/pastrytime. And of course, most of my casts end up on GameStar, so go to GameStar.com for all your broadcasting needs.
Cool. Lamill?
You can get me on Twitter at @LamillLol, so LOL, and on my Facebook is the same thing, and YouTube is also the same thing, I think. So yeah, and my live stream is Twitch TV/Lamill, and I'll shout out to Zippo Bolter and Detonator. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely follow her Twitch stream, guys. You're getting, how many viewers are you getting now? Like around the 500-ish?
The other day I peaked at over 1,000 when I was dancing to Gangnam Styles.
Oh, and we're totally doing
yeah, but I'm not doing that again though. That wasn't one.
Funny thing is, I woke up, like, as soon as I woke up, I went to check some streams, I saw her was on, and I was like, what the hell is she doing?
I know, it was a bit of fun. It gave me a workout. I had sore muscles for like 3 days after that. Need to work out some more.
We're all doing the Gangnam Style dance-off for ESGN Summer, by the way. Like, there's no event
When
or
is
but.
that anyway?
In the summer.
In the summer. We're going to be doing that and dance-off to Jack Jack Jaggy. So.
And Bubble Pop.
Yeah, Bubble Pop too.
Bubble Pop.
Yeah. Bubble Pop every final.
So anyway, Fantasy Man, want to give any shout-outs?
Yep, shout out to Carnage and Razor, and you can follow me at FantasyLOL, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. As for us, Cryptic and myself at Killstone, just want to give a shout out to Von Angel. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. She's been a tremendous help. Also, I want to give a shout out to Lola. Fantastic community, guys. Get onto the Lola website. Get into the forums. You'll find me there all the time posting. I know I'm forgetting people. What's Dark X Jen's brother's name again?
Obby.
Obby, yes. He has graciously allowed us to use the Jace song.
Swag Anthem?
Yes. he's let us use that for the intro to our podcast, the MP3. So I just want to give a shout out to him. Thanks so much for that, man. I appreciate it.
Sounds amazing.
It is. It's so cool. I can't wait to put it on the MP3. And just from us to you guys, thanks very much for coming on the show. It's been a blast, considering it was number 13, so I was supposed to be unlucky. More than likely after this I'll find out the recording didn't work and it was all for naught. But thanks for joining us for the first webcam episode.
Thanks for having me. It's been great. It's been great to be on the show again.
Peace, guys. See you for episode 14. Laters.